From anybody?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I have a statement to make.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay. First off, I want to make it clear that these are my opinions, my comments. They do not represent the city of Selah. I don't purport that. Here we go. We as Americans have been blessed with a legacy of governance that provides protections from the depredations of evil men. Our Constitution has a vision for unity that presupposed flawed human nature. People were capable of bad behavior individually, but capable of the greatest of sin when backed by the power of the will of the people. The founding vision of unity, our Constitution, also presupposed an agreement on the nature of rights and liberty. No man had a right to demand anything from his neighbor. Furthermore, the founding vision for unity presupposed our strongest relationships would exist outside of government, in our families, our churches, and our local communities. This founding vision has now been abandoned in pursuit of something more fulfilling to burgeoning tyrants. A communitarian vision of reality in which the mob is perceived as virtuous, in which every man has the right to protect himself from the hardships of life and the cruelties of history by demanding recompense from his neighbors. This second path toward unity requires purification. This is where my current situation stands. My observations of a local Black Lives Matter protest were critical of the sloganeering and their origins and intentions of the BLM movement. I made no racist comment or racist insinuation. These comments and observations have come to the attention of the directors of false racial outrage. This has precipitated a very coordinated demand for me to be fired by left-wing agitators and their acolytes, angrily emoting based upon their own flawed assumptions and poorly informed opinion. There's a loud clamor for homogeneity of thought and action. There has been no rational discussion of the merits of my opinion and observations. However, there has been a demand for me to bow to a set of beliefs that are illogical, devoid of reason, untrue, and unconstitutional. Ideological enforcers are now conducting a coordinated campaign to destroy my reputation and eliminate me as your city administrator. Diversity of viewpoint cannot be tolerated by neo-Marxists. Unity of viewpoint is essential in all things great and small. To them, unity of viewpoint is a requirement for all serious change. Once the group has been purified, change will only require the snap of a finger. No more gridlock, no more conversation. The collective can be activated quickly and powerfully. The second path is totalitarian in nature, and it is this model that certain members of this council are bending toward, maybe one. Perhaps some of you believe you are representing a universally outraged community. That is simply not true. The vast majority of our residents still value a city administrator who is willing to stand up to a group so devoid of intellect and reason. The great irony of this situation, for those of you who might be swayed by this left-wing mob, is that you will never be able to free yourself from the fealty to their required dogmas. If you fall short on parroting their version of ideological purity, the same thing will eventually happen to you. To the residents of Selah, as long as I remain the city administrator of this fine city, I promise the following. 1, I will continue to provide strong and competent leadership for the staff and thoughtful advice to your elected representatives. 2, I will continue to be a responsible steward of your tax dollars and will remain mindful of the great trust you give to me to faithfully execute the city budget. 3, I will continue to be fair in all deliberations. I will not favor one group or person due to differing viewpoint or race and religion. 4, Equal protection under the law will be strictly followed. No exceptions. 5, I will do everything in my power to protect this city from the mayhem and evil that we are witnessing in Seattle and Portland. 6, I will continue to support our police department through adequate funding, emphasis on training, and understand the difficult and sometimes thankless work they must do every day. 7, I will always stand for our flag, honor our nation's history, and remember the sacrifices of those who made our nation the greatest republic in the history of the world. 8, I will never forget or forsake the oath that I took nearly 4 decades ago when I was a young Marine. I swear to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And finally, I will never quit or take a knee, even in the face of personal slander, lies, and death threats. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wayman. Suzanne.
I have a comment. I take great offense to your characterization of people speaking out against you as being left-wing agitators or the mob. These are people, the people I've spoken with are citizens of Selah. They are people here that are speaking out of something that's important to them. And I think we need to stop the rhetoric of calling them things like left-wing agitators. I think they have the right to speak out, to speak their truth without being disrespected and spoken of the way that you just spoke of them. I don't appreciate it, and I don't agree with it.